This video is a quick overview of how proficiency-based, personalized learning by learning objective will work in Mrs. Landon's Algebra 2 course this year. The classroom is set up into flex learning spaces. This will allow for whole group instruction space and collaborative space. Individual desks will be put into groups of 3 or 4 for students to sit at during lecture. During their work time, they can work individually or with others by sitting at the dining tables of 4, the high-top desks with the bar stools, and other groups of 2. Students can also work in an individual space. They can choose to sit on the floor with lap desks, sit in comfy chairs with footstools, or on a giant beanbag. At the onset of the course, students will identify their learning style. They will be asked to take a 20-question survey in which it will tell them if they are auditory, visual, or tactile learner. They will also reference the study tip resources for their individual learning style. This should help them better understand how they should do their learning in the Algebra 2 course. Students will be using 2 different types of tools to learn in the class. At the beginning of every chapter, they will be given a note packet, which includes a blank note templates and all of the homework that they need to do for their learning. Students will then go to Schoology and use all of the resources here to help them in their learning and their assessment of the material. The curriculum on Schoology is laid out in a very similar fashion for every chapter. The blank note packet and proficiency tracker can always be found in the resource folder. Students will begin each chapter by taking a pre-quiz by learning objective for a group of sections. If they are proficient on a learning objective, then they do not have to take notes or do the daily homework assigned with it. However, if they are not proficient on a learning objective, they will find the appropriate section number and begin their learning on note-taking and doing the daily homework. After that is done, they will take a formal quiz by learning objective and reassess their new learning levels. This process will then be repeated for the next group of sections until all the formal learning is done. The chapter learning will then wrap up with a summative assessment of a chapter test. When a student is not proficient on a learning objective, then the learning must begin. Students will get out their note packet and begin the note process. They can either click the book notes template, which will bring them to the PDF of the electronic book. They can take their own notes on their own. Or they can choose to click a video link by each learning objective, which will bring them to YouTube and they can take notes that way. Or they can wait for whole group instruction, which will be done every day. Once their notes are completed, they'll want to begin on their daily work. They can find a hard copy of the homework within the note packets, and I highly suggest they do their work on paper. They will then come in here and click on the learning objective puzzle piece and submit their homework on Schoology. Schoology will give them immediate feedback on their grade by giving them red and green boxes and a proficiency level that was met. Students must achieve at least a 60% proficiency level by learning objective to move on to the next one. If this level is not met, they have 2 more opportunities to submit their homework on Schoology. If they still have not met their 60% proficiency level, they'll want to get some intervention from me, the teacher. Once they're ready to go back to the homework, I will unlock it and they can resubmit their answers. If students still want some more practice, they can reference the extra practice PDF file here, which will bring them to a reteaching and practice sheet. They can try the sample problems on here and then click the Solutions Extra Practice document to actually check the answers. Now, if you did make your proficiency on your first try, but not get 100%, you have 2 more tries to improve your grade. The assessment of student summative learning will be taken by the way of a formal quiz by learning objective. If a student is not proficient on a learning objective by the time of the formal quiz, they will have 1 opportunity to actually retake this quiz for just the learning objectives they missed. At the end of the chapter, students will take the formal test. If they do not reach their desired level of learning on the chapter test, they will have 1 opportunity to retake the test for an improved score. Overall, the grading in this course is broken down as 20% as a formative grade, primarily based on the daily homework done in Schoology under the green puzzle pieces, in addition to a chapter note check which will be graded on how well the notes were completed. The other 80% is summative assessments. Formal quizzes will be given by learning objective and can be retakeable 1 time for just the learning objectives missed. Tests are also retakeable up to 1 time for the better of the 2 scores. A few chapters have projects which will not be retakeable. For every chapter, students will track how they did their learning by learning objective. So all the learning objectives are listed. They will track and indicate what objectives they learned in their pre-quiz. They'll identify how they want to take notes on objectives they were not proficient on. They'll track the objectives that they got on their formal quiz. They have the extra practice problems associated by learning objectives to try before they prepare to retake any learning objectives missed for their quiz. Overall, this tracker will help them reflect on how they did their learning for the chapter and make any adjustments for the next chapter to come. I hope this overview is helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions.